Actually, the fountain of youth has been called by the church adultery. How am I going to explain this? Okay, imagine before religion, and we've got language, we've got communities, we probably have small tribes of 30 or 40 people, and they have to fight for survival, not each other. They couldn't afford to fight each other because they had to fight the elements, which meant they had to be building shelters, and they had to be hunting or grazing or planting like we are now, except not so bloody industrialized. And the fountain of youth was simply life and death. And when you take one human being and mix him with another human being, you create the third human being. And this is the process of evolution. I mean, it happens with all the plants and all the animals. And so picture yourself this. You've got a man and a woman. They're sitting on a hill and it's sunny, and the two kids are off playing at the river. They're not falling in because they know how to swim anyway. And the friend of the man and the woman comes by and says, "Hey, what's happening?" And then they're saying, "Well, not too much." And he notices, well, the wife's a bit antsy, or the woman. There wouldn't be wife back then. The wife is a new advent. He sees that there isn't a whole lot of sexual passion between the two, and he notices that there is some sexual interest from the woman towards him. And he thinks to himself, well, how are we going to go about this problem? Well, how he goes about it, perhaps with or without her help, is to satisfy first the other man, more than likely with oral sex, to make sure that he's had his sexual satisfaction. And sexual satisfaction is a lot more important than we think. Well, maybe most people understand this, but sexual satisfaction, we got no choice. Once we hit 12 or 14, we are controlled at least somewhat by our sexual desires. And so the fellow, and maybe the other woman, will satisfy this one other fellow, and then this third party, who hasn't probably had sex yet with his woman, does. Because the other guy, he's kicking back, he's got his load outloaded, he's downloaded already, or up, yeah, he's downloaded, and now it's time for the other fellow to do his upload. And nature will say, okay, the other sperm has been wasted in somebody's mouth or out in the grass, however it's done. And nature wants for the other sperm, of course, to find its way to the womb and get to this womb that it hasn't been to before, so that it can make a baby. And this baby, of course, will be different than the other two babies by half, because the woman still has her genes in there, and now she has genes from another one. And this is the fountain of youth. And Jesus Christ knew that. And if you dig through the Bible, you have to read it at least 6 times. And you have to know that God does not exist. Because if you have a fear that God's going to fuck around with you because you're believing something that's illegal to believe, like in Logan's Run or something, then you can't understand the subtleties. And the subtleties say Jesus was an animal and he fucked around. And there is nothing at all unnatural about that. It is unnatural for us. It is very unnatural, I notice, for me, to not have sex. Having no sex drives us mad. Or it doesn't have to be fucking. I mean, there's other ways to have sex. But our society is going away from our simple communities that we used to have, and I don't think it's necessarily better. And I think it is time that we at least try to understand that the fountain of youth is real, and accept paganism as a way of life.